Hey, what's up? Dr. Dave Det One. So today I want to have a conversation about mental toughness and kind of address the question as to whether mental toughness is just something that you're born with or is it something that can be taught and developed. And I'm here to tell you 100% mental toughness is something that you can teach and develop in yourself and in others. So I know some of you out there might be thinking, and I've had this conversation 1,000 times, that mental toughness is just something either you're born with it or you're not, right? You can't develop that stuff. And I'm here to tell you that's not true. So, a lot of times when you look at somebody from afar and you see, whether it's the ultra marathoner who can run a couple hundred miles, no problem, or it's that person that just, no matter what the stress level is, no matter what the situation, how much pressure is on them, they're always just cool, calm, and collected. They always deliver 100% and nothing seems to bother them, right? And so when you look at those people from afar, you're like, hey, wow, that person's got it, right? They're super mentally tough. Like they're another level, right? But when you kind of take a minute to look at it up close and really examine it and talk to those people, you realize that there's something that they do, right? So there's some type of tactic, technique, or procedure that they use to help them to be successful in that environment, right? And some type of mental toughness, TTP. And so if you watch them long enough, you can observe that stuff, right? And if you can observe something, you can study it. If you can study it, you can figure out how to teach it and develop it, right? So mental toughness 100% can be taught and developed. And, I've been in my career around a lot of amazing performers, right? From NFL Hall of Famers to Guinness Book World Record holders to, tier one operators. And one of the habits that I developed is, I'll go up to them and say like, hey man, what's the one thing, right? What's the one thing that makes you great? And surprisingly, I say probably 90% of those people can kind of just tell me right away. And I'm like, hey, this is what I do. And I'll give you an example of that. And so this is probably one of the best examples of mental toughness that I've come across in a really long time. So there's this guy named Dean Karnassus, right? And so this is around probably 2007, 2008, when I started to become aware of this thing called ultra marathon, right? These people that run hundreds of miles. And for me, running the PFT was a challenge. But so I heard about Dean Karnassus and I heard about this race called the 48-hour race, right? And so just what the name says, 48 hours, you see how far you can run, and whoever runs the farthest wins, right? And so Dean Karnassus, I heard, ran 200 and something miles in 48 hours, right? Just insane to me. But that wasn't even the crazy part. So the crazy part was it was on a quarter-mile track, right? A quarter-mile track. So like how the hell do you maintain your focus for 48 hours running around a quarter-mile track, right? You guys can do the math to figure out how many laps that was, but that's ridiculous. After the first hour, you've seen everything there is to see, right? And so I was just blown away by this, and I had to figure it out. I had to know how he did it, right? And so at the time I was at the drill sergeant school, so I contacted Dean and I asked him like, hey man, like how the hell do you do that? Like how is that possible? And he right away said, I'm all about the mantra, brother, the mantra. So every time his left foot hits the deck, right, he says smooth, long, strong. Takes a breath. Smooth, long, strong. And he does that continuously for the entire time he's racing, right? So he's not thinking about anything else. He's not thinking about how long he is, how much everything hurts. He's just focusing on the mantra. And the thing about your attention, right, we know this, is that your attention doesn't split well between two things, right? You can't focus on two things equally well at once. So when you program in the right thing to think about, everything else starts to fall apart, right? And so I know what you're thinking, right? This guy is elite, best of the best. He is a Guinness Book World Record holder, right? And so that's just something that he's developed, and I couldn't do that. So that's not true, actually, because, like I said, I was at the drill sergeant school at the time, and I didn't work with a lot of basic training, but when I did, I would like to go out for their rucks, right? And so I would always find the soldier that was struggling, and I was at Fort Jackson, don't forget, and so take that for what it is, but the soldiers there, a lot of them had some problems in the ruck, and so I would always find the one who was struggling, and I would go back there, and as they're struggling on the back of the line, dying, right, focusing on like, I'm gonna die, I can't make it, this isn't happening for me. I would help them to start to use that mantra. Every time your left foot hit that deck, smooth, long, strong, take a breath. Smooth, long, strong, take a breath. And I'm telling you that in 5 minutes, that intervention was enough to get almost everybody through the rest of that ruck, right? So again, I took something from Dean Karnassus, this unbelievable athlete, super mentally tough, Guinness Book of World Record holder, runs all these ultra marathons, and I was able to figure out, because he told me, what he does. And then I took that concept down to the lowest level private at a non-infantry basic training combat base, and they were able to implement it within 5 minutes under stress, right? So that's just an example. If you can imagine, you know, if we helped to develop that further and further, and if that's a tactic, technique, or procedure that private really started to like and to internalize, they could get better and better at it, right? So just like everything else, are some people better at mental toughness than others? Are they just naturally more inclined towards it? 100% yes. Absolutely. Sometimes you can just give somebody a concept once, they internalize it, they feel like it works, they use it, and it's now part of their SOP, their standard operating procedure, and that's another technique that they use for mental toughness. For other people, is it much more of a struggle? 100% yes. And is it also situational dependent? Absolutely. So bottom line is, in my opinion, from over 20 years of experience doing this, 100% mental toughness can be taught. It can be developed. It can be observed. It can be studied. It can be taught. All right, that's all I got. Thanks for your time. Love to hear some comments, and stay tuned for our next video.